Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? So you see me on your screen, so you know what time that means. It means it's another Friday, and it's time for another episode of No Label Live, where we talk about the importance of labels and how labels drive everything that we do in our life. I'm super excited for today's show because we have an expert in performance, an expert in productivity, and man, do our labels have a lot to do with how productive we are and how we perform as a human being. So today's guest is founder of Xillionaire Performance, and his name is Rezan Levandovych. Rezan, what's going on, man?
What's up, Nate? I'm so happy to be here. This is my first ever interview. So I'm super excited to be here and really share my knowledge and have some fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It's important to have fun because fun creates
Yeah.
a lot of good things with our performance. So let me kick it off this way. So you heard the introduction there, but how would you describe Rezan in your own words?
The way I would describe myself, that's a really good question. I would say, at heart, I'm a person who loves to inspire. So I want to be a motivator and inspirer, someone who is a catalyst in people's lives. So whether that means through my work or through my personal relationships, I always want to be, doing my part to make the world a better place.
Mm. And that always been something you've wanted to do?
I don't necessarily think so. I think that as a kid, as a teenager, we focus so much on ourselves, and our ego is pretty high, because we want to, the best for ourselves. We're figuring ourselves out. We want to know what we want to do, what are we going to do in college, and all these things. So I think in the beginning part of my life, I focused a lot on myself and what I wanted to do, and then once I realized the secret to living is giving, I decided that it's not just about me, and I want to use everything that I can to bring value to other people and to give back to the world. And with that, that's how it switched.
Awesome. So as you switch to giving and giving back to the world, how did that lead you into what you do now, whether it's digital marketing or your mindset and productivity coaching?
Yeah, absolutely. So on my journey as an entrepreneur, because I started my journey as an entrepreneur when I was 17, that's when I officially started my first business.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I was hooked to be an entrepreneur. And the challenge that I had was really figuring out what I wanted to do as an entrepreneur, what kind of business I wanted to start, and what is something that I can do for the long term. So I went on this journey of experimenting, trying different businesses, different careers, different jobs, and constantly figuring out what is it that I'm excited for. And I realized the things that I'm most excited for are the things I'm willing to do that I'm not getting paid for. And once I realized that, and I was doing coaching for next level trainings and just really supporting people around me, whether that's motivation wise or giving people tips. And I realized I was doing that for free and I was enjoying it. I was willing to do a 12-hour day and not get paid for it. And I decided that this is something I want to definitely invest my time into.
And what's been the greatest gift as you started to unlock that for yourself? What's the greatest gift you've gotten since you started to give back in that way?
I would say it's just really seeing other people light up. I think that's what it really is for me. Because when I see people light up and they start to take action on things that are not, mediocre or things that they have to do, rather things that they want to do and they're blessed to do and they're excited to do, I think it makes me very motivated and excited to want to do it more. So I think that's what it is really just seeing other people light up, and then that inspires me to light up even more from there.
Yeah, I would say I get fired up from the same type of thing, to watch somebody, to use like the light switch, right? To actually see the light go on,
Yeah.
and to see somebody who, and I was talking about this in a video I did earlier today, that I think we as human beings are all like these fictional characters in a non-fiction world. Like,
Yeah.
we don't realize that we have the power to change the narrative of who we are a lot. And when we realize that, that's when that light can go on. And
Yeah. Absolutely. That's the most amazing thing ever, is like once you take the control back, instead of letting that control, giving that control to other people, taking that control back of your life and knowing that you're responsible, and anything that you have in your life and the results you have are a reflection of what you've created. You
Mhm.
are the source of all the things that you've created in your life. And sometimes it's hard to believe that and hard to accept it if you're not in a good position or you don't like your results. But once you can take that responsibility, that's when you can actually make a really big change in your life and create even bigger results from there.
Yeah, that personal responsibility is huge. Um, what would you say, as you've been working in productivity, what's one thing that has made you personally more productive in your life that, let's say, 3 years ago you weren't doing, and once you realized it, it changed your results immediately?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is an awesome question. I would say I want to give you two
All
because
right.
I think it's two really big things. Number one, it's really learning to let go of past experiences and just forgiving yourself or forgiving others. If something bad happened or you failed or something didn't work out in the past, really letting go of that so it's no longer an anchor on your foot as you go through life, and you have a free approach to life. You're able to move forward and not have to worry about that anymore, and you can move forward with such a better approach. And so that's the first thing, is really letting go of the past and creating the future and present. So that's the first thing. The second thing is laser focus. I
Oh man.
think once, it's very easy. Yeah, it's very easy to get caught up in the shiny objects and all the cool things happening and all the ways you can make money. As a digital marketer myself, like in that space, there's so many shiny objects and so many ways you can make money that it's like hard to like decide like, what do I want to do? So I think once I understood that I get to be laser focused, that's when, you know, it actually allowed me to have a more of a focused mind, where I'm not distracted all the time, and also um, have more, how would I say it, like the ability to be able to create bigger things within that thing. Because whenever I focus on too many things, let's say I'm putting 10% here, 20% here, 30% here, I get good at those things, but I don't become great at them.
Mm,
So when I put 100% into one thing, I know that I can become great at it and I can do far better in a shorter period of time. So those are
yeah.
my two things.
So yeah, the one thing, if you guys haven't checked that book out, for sure, that's kind of like that
Yeah.
premise of the one thing. The more you actually dedicate to that, like you said, you start to master that, and it cuts that time curve like tremendously. Um, what would you say, since we were touching on distraction? What would you say is your number one distraction, and what do you think people who you work with, what's the distraction that you see come up most for them?
That's a really good question. I would say for me, it would be really social media.
Yeah.
Social media is a huge distraction, especially YouTube, and the way it's designed is designed to grab your attention and keep it there as long as possible. You know, that's how they do so well. So that's a huge distraction for me. Um, Also, yeah, so I'm gonna keep it at that. I think that's a really big one. And then for other people, it can vary, you know, like social media definitely is a huge aspect to it. But I also think it's the idea or the mindset of doubting yourself and like not believing you can do something. I think that's the biggest distraction for a lot of people because when you don't believe you can do something, that's when you procrastinate the most. But if you believe you're 100% going to be able to do this, you're going to go for it, especially if it's something that you're passionate about and you want to achieve. You're far more likely to achieve it because of that. But if you're doubting yourself, you don't feel like you can accomplish it, that's when you get distracted and you just do other things that are easier or things that don't actually make an impact in what you want to achieve.
Yeah. So I'm going through some coaching right now myself, and it's funny, everybody, I think, no matter if it's you, me, my business coach, all coaches, I think we realize that it comes down to actually, like you said it earlier, letting go, right? It's not only letting go of past things, it's actually letting go of a to-do list that has 17 things on it and figuring out what's the most important two things out of the 17, where if I only did those two things, my business, my relationship, whatever that goal is, they skyrocket because they were two very important things.
Yeah, I love that. That's so important. I think that's something that I learned that makes such a big difference, which is the priority, right? Like not just having a big list or to-dos, but prioritizing that list before you even start. So you're putting your energy towards the most important things first, and
Mm-hmm.
then the rest will come later, right? So I think that's huge.
So when we started the interview, you talked about fun. So I want to ask you this: what's something that you do that reminds you to have fun on a daily basis?
I think it's what reminds me.
Yeah.
I think what reminds me is the idea of connecting with people. I think it's so important, especially with social media now, and you know, like I feel like people are not connecting to each other on a one-to-one basis or like in person anymore. So I think knowing that for myself, like that's something that I've neglected for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Connection is so important, and once you can connect, having an enjoyable experience through that as well.
So I know there's tons of people that when they see that they're gonna relate to that right there. So what's something you've done that's helped you um, get better connected with the humans that you come in contact with?
Yeah. So I think there are a few things, right? Like when you are connecting to someone, well, first off, you want to reach out to people. I think you shouldn't wait for someone to reach out to you and play the waiting game because sometimes people do that in a way, like, oh, I want them to reach out first kind of mentality. I don't know why, but reach out first and be the person who's constantly interacting with people you really want to spend time with. Especially people who are on the same mission as you, people who want a better life for themselves. So surrounding yourself around those people all the time. Um, and and then when you're together, being so curious about them, not just talking about yourself and all the cool things you're doing, but getting curious about them and what they're up to and seeing how you can support them.
Mm.
So I think those are great
Yeah.
ways to connect.
So okay, you said in my words there, be more interested than interesting. To
Yep.
not pretend like we're all dating and have the 3-day rule or whatever.
Yeah.
to back. And if you really want to connect with somebody, do it and see what happens, because you never know how you could be connected to that person, how you could say the one thing that you're like, okay, I'm gonna take Rezan's advice and I'm gonna reach out even though I don't feel like it. And you never know, that one thing that's on your mind could be the exact same thing that that person's thinking about at the time. And I mean, it's like boom, instant connection.
Yeah. And one other thing I really wanted to say about that is this is something I learned from one of my mentors who I watch. And it's like leaving an impression of increase, right? So when you're connecting with someone, you end off where they feel like they're higher than they were when before they met you or before they connected with you. So always giving so much value to them that they feel excited and inspired and positive afterwards. And I think that with those things, all the time, like my girlfriend tells me, oh, like this person really liked you. And I'm like, I didn't really do anything. I just like asked a bunch of questions and I was just being myself, positive, excited, and so forth. And just people connect to that. So it's awesome.
Yeah. And man, for anybody who doesn't know his girlfriend, those two together, just a bunch of energy for sure. So what would you say has got you super excited right now?
Right now, it's definitely becoming an awesome speaker, like a professional speaker, someone who, when I speak, people listen and want to stay engaged the entire time. So, really mastering speaking. I'm creating more YouTube videos now. So, putting out more content and more value to people and not expecting anything in return. Like, I think that is something that I'm really, really excited about. And I look forward to continuing to do.
Yeah. So with that in mind, how can people connect with you?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram mainly, but I'm on Facebook as well, Rezan Levandovych. I'm sorry that you probably don't know how to spell it. Hopefully Nate has it written somewhere
Yeah.
that you can find it. That's my biggest challenge with my name is like it's long and it's complicated. So I'm afraid some people might not find me, but it's all right. I'll figure it out or they'll figure it out if they
Well,
really want to.
and just so everybody knows, before we even started the conversation, I sent him a message. I'm like, okay, exactly how do you say this? Because I'm going to mess it up and it's not going to look good. So I will
Yeah,
put that in the show notes so everybody can connect with you for sure.
thank you. Appreciate
Uh-huh.
that.
Um, so I got a couple more questions. First question is, when you think, like, I want you to close your eyes. We're going to do a visualization. So I want you to think about you are creating the most impact in your world, the 360 degrees around you, that when you think about what is happening, you just smile, you light up, and you're like, this is what life is meant to be like. Now, I want you to tell us what you just envisioned.
Can I open my eyes or should I keep them closed?
Whatever works best for you, man.
All right, so I'll open them. And what I envisioned was me speaking on stage. That was definitely one thing that came up and I thought about, and I think about this all the time. Just being on stage in front of a huge crowd of people and being able to really ignite the crowd and make it a memorable moment for them. And then also I thought about traveling and not just being in one spot, but traveling to different countries and different environments and being able to live to the fullest.
That's amazing, man. And so, with that in mind, if there's a young kid who's watching or listening to this, but they feel stuck, they feel lost, and they don't know what to do next, what advice would you give them?
I would I would give them advice to ask themselves, like, what is it that you're interested in? What is it that you like? And even if you don't know what you want to do next, just starting anything or trying something new, but obviously not doing the same thing that you've been doing over and over again, because you're going to get the same result. Rather, trying something totally different that you maybe haven't tried before, and continuing to experiment and try new things, because that's the only way you're really going to figure out what is it that you want to do. And then just going for it and staying focused, surrounding yourself around awesome people, and then also investing in your education and making sure you're constantly personally developing yourself as a person, because constant progress is what's going to keep you motivated to want to take that next step. And that's the thing that I've done since I was 17, specifically when I first started as an entrepreneur, is I would invest so much of my time learning and learning from things that I was excited to learn, though, right? So I would YouTube things, I would buy courses, I would take trainings, and I would just continue to learn. And through that process, I discovered myself and what I wanted, and I discovered new knowledge, which got me more excited to want to do bigger things. So I think in that discovery, in that curiosity, you're going to discover things that ignite your passion and your motivation to want to do something.
Man, so if you can relate to that, or if you just saw the fire as Rezan was speaking that I just saw, like, connect with him, because there's somebody who did it and is on their journey to keep doing it. So connect with him, see how he made it possible for himself, because if any human can make it possible, you're a human too. So it's available for you as well. Final question, and the final question is, what does no label defines me mean to you?
I knew you were going to ask this question. So to me, I've thought about it, and what it means to me is you being limitless, not giving yourself a limit, not giving yourself a box that you're going to put yourself into, and doing what you want to do, and continuing to grow and become whatever you want to become. So it's just being limitless, really is. Can you hear me, by the way?
Yeah, being limitless.
My
Yep.
internet connection is pretty bad. Did you hear that?
Yeah, we heard it. It
Yeah.
froze a little bit, but we still got the important part of it. So, to be limitless, to step out of boxes, absolutely. And since we are coming to the end of our time here, is there anything you want to leave the audience with that we didn't touch on?
Yeah, I would say make sure you follow Nate and his journey and all the things that he's doing. Check out his books, check out his courses. He's got some freaking awesome things. And I'm so inspired by you and the actions that you've taken, that it allowed me to move forward in some of the things that I'm up to.
Oh,
So I really appreciate you. Yeah, man. And I would say, like, if you don't even listen to anything that Nate says, just watch what he does. You're gonna learn a lot from him. So just seeing you launch like your brand and everything that you've done in such a short period of time is just like freaking awesome. So I'm excited for you and what you create, and I know you're gonna freaking crush it moving forward.
I appreciate that, man. And so I've been thinking about this a lot today. I want to acknowledge you, man, because just thinking about, so you talked about starting something when you're 17. Uh, Not a lot of people do that. Not a lot of people even have the confidence to go out in the world and say, I don't know what this is going to be, but I feel like it could be something. So I want to acknowledge you for that. And like you said, Melissa, says to you all the time, this person really likes you, and you're like, well, I don't know. Okay. But I think that speaks to how you show up as a human being and the energy that you bring. So I just want to acknowledge you for that. And
thank you.
the good work, man.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And yeah, absolutely, man. Like some of the best things that have happened to me is when I just went for it and I didn't know what I was going to do or how I was going to do it. I did it. And yeah, it's going to be challenging and things are going to come up, but that's with everything that you do. So
Yeah.
I just say jump in, go for it. Don't overthink it. And you're going to learn on the way. So yeah, hope that brings someone and get someone to take some action towards what they really want.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect way to end the interview. And it's to, if you don't take anything from anything we said, take this. Don't overthink it, because when you overthink it, things going to happen, right? Just do it.
Yeah.
Like Nike says, just do it. And you'll be amazed at when you actually just do something, what you create. Because even if you don't create what is exactly in your mind, you're going to do more than somebody who's sitting there thinking about it. And
Yep. Absolutely.
with that said, if you're watching this, you're up to big things. And if you're up to big things, you must be patient, you must be diligent, and you must never, never quit. And make sure, share this out so that the most people can get this interview, can get the knowledge, can get the perspective, and maybe it will change a label. With that, we'll catch you next Friday.